This is things you might have heard, and I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and in the queue today, we have 10 stories from the past weekend that were vetted by U.S. Conversational and then curated into this thing here for information, politics, current events, and pop culture news to get to you here. Now, I'll explain the vetting process at the end of the headlines and bringing some fun things for today. So stay tuned to the very end of what's going on. And we're looking at, if you're watching the video, I'm seeing the little indicator that we may have some issues with some of the video today. So hopefully you're watching the replay. It does not come down too bad. Hopefully just pixelation. Most of the information should get to you today. I want to remind you that our website is theconversationproject.com for more details on what we do every single day with the Conversation Project. And of course, email us anytime you feel at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. So let's get into the headlines for this morning. A lot of stuff to get to. Starting off with the big one, not the biggest one, but the big one, giving props and flowers to people who deserve them right now. Of course, this is Monday, March the 4th, 2024. No particular order as these stories are given to you here. We'll give you some context on what stories were hotter than other ones and give you the full details when we get to the vetting process at the end of the headlines. Let's get into first. Excuse me. Headline number one. Couldn't hold that one back. LeBron James becomes first player in NBA history to score 40,000 points. LeBron James has made NBA history again by becoming the first player to score 40,000 career regular season points. This milestone has reached on Saturday game this afternoon. James is celebrated for setting the unparalleled record, highlighting his exceptional basketball career, marking him as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Now, there's a lot of things people go into factor and say who's better, like how things existed back for the three-point lines and back in the day when basically everybody was beating people up, and how LeBron gets a lot of stuff as a chosen one. But LeBron James made this. He reached this milestone, reached it pretty quickly, 21 years as a player. And right now, the biggest thing it seems like he's playing for is a chance to play with his son. We talk about him often in that case. But playing for records, playing for titles, and playing to keep things going, something that rival Kobe could not do because he was broken down in the end of his era of playing. LeBron James in much better shape, in much better platform shape, if you will, and doing it, oddly enough, as a Laker for some reason. So now that that's taken care of, let's get to the real big story of the weekend. Iowa's Caitlin Clark passes Pete Maravich for set scoring record. So one record beaten, second one beaten on Sunday. This one was Caitlin Clark, the star of Iowa's women's college basketball team, made history by surpassing LSU and NBA legend Pistol Pete Maravich, becoming the all-time leading scorer in Division I basketball. This is men's and women's total. She beat the women's record a few days ago, and then she overtook Pete Maravich yesterday, showcasing her great talent going forward. Now, one thing we're not talking about is Angel Reese, who sort of flamed out. We'll see how that goes on. One other thing, big story she had this weekend, she declared for the WNBA draft a few days prior to hitting this record on this game. Number one, this was senior night, so she wanted the other seniors to get some spotlight, even though the spotlight was on her most of the night. And number two, it was senior night, and she wanted the other seniors to get some spotlight other than this thing going on. So she didn't want to have to do this and then come out with the draft announcement because that was way too much her. So we can give her props for trying to share some love with her teammates on this one. This record, though, is, although teammates helped, it's all Caitlin Clark. Congratulations, both LeBron and Caitlin. Here's a guy that you may love to hate, or you may hate to love, but he is Skip Bayless, and he's having some issues with his TV show right now. Skip Bayless, Undisputed, hits historically low numbers with just 50,000 viewers, while First Take with Shannon Sharpe averaged 486,000, can't do numbers this morning, 486,000 viewers on the same day. So background on this, Skip Bayless got to start in writing in sports, but it's got to start on TV with the First Take, which started off as, First and 10, a bit off the Cold Pizza show, where Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith would go back and forth on different issues. It turned into First Take, where they just started yelling at each other for no apparent reason, other than the fact that some reason people watched it. There was a schism, a split, and Skip went to Fox Sports 1 or 2, one of the Fox Sports, and had a new show over there. And to build up his show while Stephen A. yelled at other people on ESPN, we had Skip Bayless yelling at Shannon Sharpe for a while. And then Shannon Sharpe left, and now nobody wants to yell at Skip Bayless anymore, and nobody wants to watch him as well. We see what's going on. People want to watch Uncle Shannon and, of course, Skip Stephen A go back and forth when they go back and forth because they're two big loud mouths, as opposed to Skip Bayless, who's kind of losing that luster. This also means that maybe these shows are starting to lose their luster, and so there'll be less of the yucky shows that are just yelling at each other for no reason because they're easy to fund and take up a lot of space fairly quickly. Hopefully these shows are starting to die, and Skip Bayless' show will die first because Skip is the worst of them all. I said those words. I like Skip Bayless, but I said those words. A guy who loves it that you hate him right now had some issues on TV on Friday that caused people to question what was going on. Now we have answers. WWE forced to black out the screen during SmackDown due to fan incident involving The Rock. Was the fans incident? There were signs out there that said "Die Rock Die," and because they were very visible in the shots, people had very good range to get themselves in the spots where the signs were visible during his monologue. And it was a monologue, very long one. They had to black out the screen many, many times until eventually they basically got the guy out of the arena and took his sign so they could keep going. The whole segment that The Rock did with Roman Reigns hyping up the big WrestleMania matches coming up was about 45 minutes. Ran about 10 minutes late, possibly because of all that stuff. Had to cut some matches short and do some weird things to make the whole show fit in 2 hours. This is network, so we can't go over. But it was an interesting thing for The Rock. Now, The Rock is playing the heel role quite nicely because he wants to make this the biggest money draw going forward. And he has no problem with being the guy that he was back in the day, Hollywood Rock, where it was like, I hate you folks, you're just kind of going for me. Including a very good joke about crackheads in Arizona. It's, you could kind of see how that was going. Let's go on to our next story going forward. Oh, I'm sorry, I had to do this. For those watching the video, it took me a while to get things going because I had to get that awesome shirt. I had to get a good picture of him in the shirt from Friday. So there's a shirt, just in case you missed it. If you're watching the audio, I'm just sort of wasting time. Now, this story is not a waste of time. It's a big deal for a lot of parents trying to keep tabs on their kids and make sure they keep tabs on their money the kids are spending. Uber lets parents put the brakes on teen spending. In your Uber account, if your teen has an account that's attached to yours, a teen Uber account, if you will, not they have a parent account because that would kind of defeat the purpose. In your family profile, you can actually cap the amount of money that kids can spend on Uber and where they can go. It's a new service for the service, a new platform to allow parents more control over their kids, which is good. You can keep an eye on the money they're spending going back and forth on Ubers and keep an eye on where exactly they're going. This is a great thing to do. Now, however, there's obviously ways to get around that, and teenagers will find it pretty quickly, but this is a pretty good start to trying to keep a handle on your kids' activities out there in the neighborhoods. Story at number 6 this morning. U.S. Department of Ed begins probe into gender-based harassment of Nex Benedict School District. Nex Benedict, the 16-year-old transgender student from Oklahoma that tragically passed away after experiencing bullying at school due to her gender identity issues, has been a story that I said we've reported many times here and told you it's not going away. And now it's really not going away, as the outcry and concern from the gay and transgender rights groups are, had this go to the Department of Education. It's going to the feds. It's going big time for a big research into the school district itself on how it's handling issues of bullying, violence, and harassment against Nex, particularly, and other cases of LGBTQ plus issues as well. This one is going to be reported on extensively. This is one that enough people care about that it's going to get the care that it's going to get. And so whether you love it or hate it, this is a story that is not going away, and we will keep putting it in there. You guys seem to call it conversational. Love and hate is kind of a hard thing to pull because sometimes you just hate something enough that you want to talk about it. We will definitely keep talking about Nex Benedict and what's going on, particularly in Oklahoma, for this issue. At number 7 this morning, Texas Xavier Worthy sets NFL Combine record with 4.21 second 40-yard dash. Worthy's speed was well documented in 2023 when he reached a top speed of 22.7 miles per hour on a punt return for a touchdown. So they watched him play and they know he's fast. However, NFL scouts are worried about him as a player overall because one scout named Derek Clanson said he's got some size issues and he's a little inconsistent in his play, but the fact that he's so fast will give him a shot to get some eyeballs someplace. He'll probably make a team somewhere, get a chance to prove himself, and we'll see how long he gets to do that with that really, really fast speed, whether he can make that work out on the dash. Plus, obviously when people are trying to hit you, it's a little harder to run that fast, but that fast running will help out in the process. FBI to examine possible balloon debris recovered by Alaskan fishermen. So remember that time when that balloon flew over the Midwest and people were like, dude, that's from China. We probably should do something with it. And it took us kind of a while to shoot it down. Another balloon of unknown origin, at least debris from the balloon, has been recovered in Alaska. And the FBI is looking to check out the debris to see what it was. This is a story that's actually been on for a few days. We've not freaked out about it, or at least the mainstream media has not freaked out about it because there's plenty of other things to freak out about right now, to be honest. But the balloon has been floating over the Alaskan skyline and in the area for a while. Then it came down somehow, and now we're going to see what the balloon's all about, see who is actually manufactured and what's going on. And hopefully, not more China. That's what we got for the balloon so far. Lauren Boebert skip campaign event after ex-husband threat to toss her stuff in a pond. We're going to call this story in essentially the piling on section because that's essentially what happened. The Washington Post reports that Colorado Republican is dealing with a messy divorce, which we all kind of know, and her 18-year-old son is making things worse with facing charges of 4 separate property theft incidents. Also bad. Maybe a sex tape with a minor. Also bad. But here we're talking about where she drove to her old house to retrieve some things when she was supposed to be at a campaign event, but it turned into a very, very, very long night. Her husband said, well, you can find him at the bottom of the pond. Police said she called police, got a temporary restraining order from her husband, even though her husband's still living at the house. It's a weird, crazy situation, and it is a piling on thing. There's a story that we didn't post out there that she has a quote, supposedly. I didn't go deep into it. I just kind of scanned the headline and went into the kind of details. That she knew that going to another district was going to be a hard thing. She understands that it's not easy to run for Congress. She's done it twice before and is trying to stay in there. And that she knew that the whole new district thing was going to be kind of a difficult thing. So please back off of her. She knows what she's doing. We shall see. We shall see. We shall see. And finally, the story you've all been waiting for, because this is the top story from the weekend and will probably be the top story of the week by leaps and bounds unless something really, really odd happens. Like Joe Biden decides in the middle of the State of the Union to just give reins over to Kamala Harris, like something like that. Because this is something that people wanted. Matteo, OnlyFans saved her from vaccine stance, lost her roles. Let me read that again so it actually is coherent. Soprano star Drea de Matteo says OnlyFans saved her after vaccine stance lost her roles. That sounds much better. What's this mean? Well, let's do it pretty quickly because we're running a little long. So let's go ahead and just say it right there. I put the OnlyFans story out there because people would click on it. And I put the one about Drea Matteo on there because people were interested in it. Now, when she started losing all roles, basically no one wanted to hire her because she had a stance against taking the vaccine, was anti-vaxxer. She went to OnlyFans and she made more money, as the story said, more money in a month than she had in blah, 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 blah. OnlyFans was this thing that kept her from losing her house, losing her kids, and losing everything going forward because people were willing to pay her to do her OnlyFans. What's in her OnlyFans? I don't know. Not important. The important thing is you guys clicked on it. You guys engaged in it. This is the biggest story going to be for this week. I almost want to guarantee it right now because just a large response to it. But it is only Monday. We'll see what else goes out there on this week. That's going to be almost just as massive. Maybe Nikki Haley's will drop out of the race. That will be pretty tight. I don't think it's going to catch up to this one. We are running a little long, so our apologies, errors and omissions. If you're watching the video, yeah, I'm slow in the butt. The talking about watching the video and missing things is pretty bad, so apologies for that one. Now, the quick story we want to get to that was a big deal over the weekend that did not quite get the response Drea Matteo did was Alexei Navalny and his funeral in Russia. Now, it was a big deal as tight security was there. You really didn't know what was going on because as the funeral started to kick off, Russians started jamming signals. I was watching it on CNN before the funeral started. and you saw where the signal started fading, having issues, and all of a sudden it was all jammed. There was supposed to be a live feed of the actual funeral, but that live feed was jammed. There were still, up until the time of the funeral beginning, issues getting the body to the actual cemetery, as hearse companies didn't want to deal with it. This is a big deal, and because the Russians, or specifically the Putins, don't want people to know what's going on, because it could strike up conflict and get some emotions and feelings in people that might want to, overthrow the current government. That's what's happening here. With Alexei Navalny being the top person out there who's actually saying things against the Putin regime. Another person actually died this past weekend because of this, under mysterious circumstances. We shall see how things will go as we shall see them. A lot longer on this omitted story, but this was a really big one, really big deal. We didn't know how to quantify with all the other stuff going out there. So we want to make sure this one got reported to the y'alls. Now, our teaser story for today, and this is a story that we could talk about tomorrow if you deem it worthy. And this is the part also where we talk about the feeds, how we get the stories here, the conversational stuff that we say, you say is conversational. How do you say it's conversational? Well, you can talk to me directly or indirectly via our feeds on Facebook and Twitter, our social media feeds. And if you like the story, or you hate the story, or you just want to get more into the story, click an engagement emoji on whatever function you use. On Twitter and the X, of course, it's just the heart. On Facebook, there's the mean face, there's the shock face, all those things. The more engagement you give to a story, including sharing and reading it, the better chance you have of talking about it. We take the top engaged stories and list them up from top to bottom and give you them a good chunk of those. For today, this Monday, we gave you 10 stories from the top 30 stories of the weekend. For the rest of the week, we'll give you 8 stories from top 15 of the day. We had Drea de Matteo as a teaser story on Friday, and you lived up to that hype. Well, we have this one going tomorrow. The headline reads, breastfeeding mom sprints out of house in her underwear to save pet goose from bald eagle. I don't believe we'll be talking about the story tomorrow, but because it was such a wild one, and it was kind of low on big time stories this morning, I just want a chance to say that. You can go to our feeds right now and you can see this story and live it in its glory. And if you want to relive it and have me actually go in deeper detail, then engage in it. Make it a top 15 story, and I'm pretty sure I will see it, and it will be in the feeds for tomorrow, in the stories for tomorrow. Now, let's go to our spotlight sponsor for this morning, and that is going to be Flowers Fast. Flowers Fast is just a fun and a great sponsor we've had because they've been with us for quite some time, and they're a simple one to have. And this is one that you keep around in your back pocket for whenever you think you need some flowers, whether it is you've messed something up or it's, things are coming and you're trying to plan something big. Flowers Fast is attached to the FTD network. So what happens if you go to Flowers Fast, their website, early in the morning and put in an order, chances are middle to the end of the day, that order can be fulfilled. If you need something that's days ahead, months ahead, go ahead and put it in there, make an order, put it in there, and they'll schedule it and it'll get there right when you need it to. And this is one that you should keep in your pocket because you never know when you need it. They also have, because they're FTD, great gifts, summer sausage and other things out there that aren't just flowers, but flowers are awesome. Use our link to help us out, because use our link, it's an affiliate and we get a commission from your already low cost. This is theconversationproject.com/flowersfast. This is theconversationproject.com/flowersfast. Check this one out as you can and use this one as you need it, because they're going to take good care of you any of occasion. The Conversation Project lives online at this is conversationproject.com. You can find us online for many things, including the feeds, of course, and you have links at our website. This is theconversationproject.com to the feeds, to the partnerships page, to the sponsorships page, to other features we have going on. Now, I've not talked about the partnerships page yet. This is where we do that. If you deem what we're doing worthy of a little extra attention, of you want to actually help us directly, fund us directly, go to our partnerships page at our website and click on the links and find ways to partner directly with us, because this is a labor that takes a lot of effort effort means money, unfortunately, and then it is. The partners are finding out what's going on behind the scenes and how things are progressing in life. So right now, still a lot of sob stories, unfortunately, but a lot of great plans to go forward, and you can help us get there by being a partner. You can also just go to our sponsorship page and buy something specifically. We get a commission from all those things there, and the fun stuff is always the free stuff, and that's always the best stuff. Email us at the conversation inbox@gmail.com. Also, just follow us on the feeds on Facebook and Twitter or X, and let us know what stories to talk about, because you help us pick the stories every single day. And with that, we're going to wrap things up right now with the fun stuff as promised. Fun stuff happens every single weekday morning. We always get fun stuff with birthdays, the funnest of the fun stuff. And birthday, which is today, we start off with our main love to Catherine O'Hara. Catherine O'Hara is turning 70 years old on the day, and what's great about that? She's had plenty of great roles on Broadway and television, but the biggest thing she's milking right now, and I would do it if I were too, is Kevin's mom from Home Alone. In fact, playing Kevin's mom, or Kevin, I guess she's still Kevin's mom, but looking for another Kevin, being Kevin Hart in a commercial bank for credit cards, because she can do that. Our history lesson from 2012. Vladimir Putin won the Russian presidential election amid allegations of voter fraud. He's up for another election this year, I believe. So like every 4 or 5 years, he's up for election. He wins by about 97%. We're pretty sure the numbers are stacked in his favor. And today, let's celebrate Pound Cake Day. Pound Cake Day is the easiest thing to make, because you take a pound of this, a pound of that, a pound of whatever, and mix it in there. Now, the way we Americans have sort of made it controversial is that many Americans add sour cream to their pound cakes, as opposed to other nations that just go bland. Your mileage literally may vary on how you like your pound cake, but find a slice of pound cake, or if you have the time and materials, make a pound cake. Pretty simple, literally. Look for a recipe, a pound of this, a pound of that, put it in there, bake it for whatever. It's great, it's lovely, it's delicious. What's ever also great and lovely, maybe delicious, is this Monday. It's Monday, March the 4th, 2024. Thank you so much for being part of the show for today. I am Jay Cleveland Payne. Just glad to be a part of your lives, to be honest. I'm glad to be part of my life, to be honest, and glad to just do the things we do here as well. If you deem us worthy of a little extra help, go to our partnership page. Today may not have been one of those greater days, but you can see where the potential may lie. The biggest thing you must do for us is go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter, and help us out with the votes for the show to let us know what stories to talk about, and email us to let me know what to talk about at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. Stay limber, stay hydrated, stay on task for all the grand things you are here to do, and just love the world. Be a good guy. We love you. We really, really mean it. And we'll see you tomorrow for another edition of Things You Might Not Have Heard.